in the fall of 2010 as our first game. Tales from Space, about a blob, near completion. We started talking about new game ideas. Prior to creating about a Blob DrinkBox Studios did primarily contract game development work to get the company up and running. Nearly 3 years later we were finishing our first internally developed game, and while there was a lot to be proud of, there were some mistakes we did not want to repeat. With that in mind, we had a number of high-level goals for our next project. Fast forwarding to April 2013, we believe we accomplished our goals with Guacamelee. When Guacamelee was released on Steam, it became the top downloaded game for both PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita for the month of April, including both retail and download-only games in both the Americas and Europe. Along the way, Guacamelee was nominated at IndieCade and BEF, and received recognition at PAX East, PAX Prime, and E3. This success was a huge relief at the end of a long road. But while the results were great, the development was not without its hiccups. Game design vision. During development of our first game, Tales from Space, about a blob, we struggled to define a clear vision for the gameplay. Was it a platformer, or a puzzle game? What was the game really about, and how should levels be structured around that? We thought we'd figured out answers by the end of development. But that process took the duration of the project, and as a result, was not fully reflected in the final game. For our next project, we did not want to repeat that mistake. Guacamelee was born out of team pitch sessions that started taking place in the fall of 2010. We spent a lot of time talking about the kind of project we thought would work well for the team and discussed the high-level mistakes we felt we'd made with our first game. Early concept images for Guacamelee. Once we developed a sense of the kind of game we wanted to create, we asked everyone to put together single-page pitches for each of their own ideas. Guacamelee was initially proposed as a pure brawler by our concept artist Augusto Quijano, who was originally from Mexico. We gradually combined other gameplay mechanics, including attack moves doubling as locomotion, overlapping parallel worlds on the Metroidvania structure. Adding these elements to the brawler concept created a debate about whether too much was being combined. We wanted to ensure the game stood out, but at the same time we were concerned about spreading ourselves too thin over multiple ideas, or possibly basing the game around a mechanic that did not work. We spent a lot of time on our previous title, trying to get the basic mechanics to work together, and that struggle hurt the final product, because it limited the time we had for refinement and polish. In this case, we concluded that the different mechanics for Guacamelee were interesting and complemented each other within the Mexican theme, so we tentatively decided to use them all. However, in light of our concerns, we decided to be cautious and avoid committing to making the game until we knew it would really work. One of the first things we did was create a concept video in Flash. Concept video. This concept video was one of the most useful things we did for the project. It helped us quickly visualize the world and let us develop a concept for the combat system. We came up with the basic attacks, dash, uppercut, slam and throw. Through this process, and explored how they would be used for both combat and platforming. It's striking to look back at the video and see how closely it matches the final gameplay, but with a few key differences. We followed up the video with 2 incremental demos. The first was a combat demo that let us explore how combat would work, how wrestling moves might fit in, and let us experience the special moves as both attacks and locomotion. First combat demo. Our next demo added in a freeform dimension swapping mechanic, simplified the basic combat moves, and was built as a vertical slice. By this point, all the key mechanics of the game had been developed and proven to work. Trailer after vertical slice. Although questions remained, the game was well defined. This was accomplished using a small group and rapid prototyping, with the freedom for people to try different things. We consider this a major accomplishment in the context of our previous title, and it gave us the confidence to move into the full production of the game. Games for You, as out of the Brexit deal, finds it agreement looking for game devs. Games for You has put together a breakdown of the Brexit deal the United Kingdom government is set to vote on this month, outlining why the organization says the plan is a raw deal for game developers in the United Kingdom. It's a good resource for devs that have yet to catch up on the latest Brexit development, as the breakdown dives into the specific changes of the deal that would affect game devs in the United Kingdom, and you, should the plan be approved. That includes topics mentioned in the withdrawal agreement like citizens' rights, governance agreements, and border agreements, along with topics from the political declaration, like data protection, United Kingdom involvement in EU programs, the movement of goods and services, mobility and access to talent, and other topics missing from the declaration entirely. The withdrawal agreement is highly dense, at 585 pages, but fundamentally, it deals with relatively basic departure issues, not the practical matters for ongoing business and consumer life we really need to know. By contrast, the political declaration is much shorter, but full of waffle and jargon, sometimes 4 paragraphs at a time. I'll use Games for You. This makes it really difficult to know what it actually means or could be used in practice, which was precisely the United Kingdom government's intention, to give it the greatest room for maneuver in the future. But this also means it robs business and consumers of any certainty. Games for You itself is an anti-Brexit, pro-European Union, anti-Brexit advocates for the United Kingdom's game industry. The group recently published an open letter with signatures from 1,300 individuals and 127 companies involved with game development tasks, while asking the United Kingdom government to put an exit plan to a public vote before starting production on Nanotale. We took some time to prototype various typing gameplay ideas. When prototyping, you have to focus on the things you want to test, and iterate on them as fast as possible. There is no time to document everything, but the prototypes do not always speak by themselves. Sometimes there is no playable build to keep, like the time I tested interactive dialogs by acting as the end, talking through Slack with a colleague. We will get back to that. So we needed a way to archive what we learned from each iteration, in a format that would be quick to write and read. This is a common problem of design documentation: how to keep an account of the decisions that led to a design. As it is interesting to keep a trace of previous iterations, to look back at the evolution of a design. But more importantly, it is a waste of time if another designer, or your forgetful self, makes changes that recreate a problem that has already been solved, just because they have no knowledge of the history behind that decision. For all those reasons, I was looking for a practical way to link each feature to the decision path that led to it. It needed to be quick to write and to read, because if we have to go back and read multiple paragraphs of history, We all know no one will do it. Surely, someone already came up with a solution, right? Sadly, I could not find anything related to game design. The results I found were tools to keep track of programming design decisions in code. As it seems programmers need a similar solution for similar reasons. Eventually, I found a research paper about an experimental tool made to present design decision-making in a simple way. It gathers decision elements from different sources, code annotations, designers, number diagrams, and organizes them visually in a hierarchy